Hi, I'm Douglas Horvath with Five Rivers MetroParks, and today I'm with my family, Ann and my son Jared, and we are here at the Stillwater River where we're going to be doing our macroinvertebrate survey. So Ann and Jared, I think this is a good place to seine. The river current isn't too bad here. Jared, why don't you set that up? We're going to be in front of this net, and we're going to pick up some of the big rocks, and we're going to use our hands and just rub on them, and all the little animals are going to get stuck right in here. So let's come right in front. We have to do this for at least 3 minutes. We just pick up some of the bigger rocks and then kind of squish them, wash them off. And now this is the fun part. You can stand here and then just take your feet, and we've got about a 3.5 foot by 3 foot square, and we're kicking, and that's why they call this a kick seine. Oh, we don't need a big branch. But we're gonna make all those little creatures that are holding on to the rocks, they're gonna fall off, and they're being pushed downstream, and they're ending up in this net. Now we have to kick for at least a couple minutes here. And then those kind of parameters of what we're doing, that's set as a standard. So everybody who does these tests does at least 3 of these kick seine in a river ripple. They'll do one in like the 3 different locations to try to get a feel of what the whole ripple is like. Being careful to be safe. So we just got about another 30 seconds. Doing a really good job kicking, getting all of them right here in front of the net. We want to make sure they're right above the net so they go down into it. Okay, and get on that side. We're going to just pick the net up. Being careful not to. Oh, and look, we got a.
Oh, and we got a crawdad too. Oh, a couple crawdads.
Hey, there's a. So we'll bring this. You fold that, Jared, together. And I'll give this to you.
These guys are steamy.
Here.
I got him. Yeah.
So show that. Now the fish that we catch are not really part of our data points, but we make observations just like we do with the wildlife we see in the corridor. So we'll write that down. And let's spread this out. We have a nice shower curtain here, and when we spread our net out, it keeps some of the little wigglers from getting onto the gravel. They may go through this net. And we're going to be counting animals, different species. What did you catch as far as a fish?
It's a stone-cap mad tom.
Okay, so why don't we show it off, and with the book reference, Jared. So one of the creatures we're going to let go right away is a little fish, because they're not going to do too well in our ice cube tray, which is nice and white, and we can see the animals in there. So Jared's identified that as a stone-cap mad tom right there, and it's like a little well, he's like a little catfish.
They're in the catfish family.
Yeah, and it has little barbs on the fins. Now I have a little crawdad in my hand, and we had another one, which brings me to a good point. We don't have to have all the animals right here. If I saw 10 crawdads in the water, I can count those. They don't just have to be here. If I pick up a rock and I bring it out the water and find animals on it, I can count that as part of my survey. We have to do at least 3 of these kick seines. If I find 0 to 9 animals of the same kind, I'm going to give an A for that group. If I find 9 to 99, it's going to be a B. And if I find over 100, then I'm going to give it a C. So we're going to be looking at abundance as well as diversity of different kinds of animals. So Ann has a nice water penny right there.
Oh,
Here's
just
another water
stuck a
penny.
little.
So let's focus on water pennies. One, you've got one. Let's pick up all the
There was
water
another
pennies.
water penny in here I saw.
Okay, and there's a second crawdad. Here's a water penny. And here's a water penny. So, how many we got now?
So I just
Got
added
2,
another one. And
3,
here's another one.
Okay, we got
6.
5. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna draw a line like through here and one through here. And I'm gonna count this section. Jared, you're gonna count this section and this section, and you'll count this section.
Okay.
Okay, and let's just count to yourselves or well,
I can see these very
so there is some variation between how well people can observe. The most important thing here is going to be that we have a water penny,
12.
because we're going to assign points to the river, and we're going to give 3 points to the river for health just for having one water penny. If we have 100 or 300, the river's still only going to get 3 points. The river's going to get 2 points for this crawdad. It'll get another 3 points because this animal doesn't needs a lot of oxygen. This caddisfly. So how many did you have, Jared?
64.
64. I had 10 between that and the tray, so 74.
12.
86 right now. So we undoubtedly are going to get to a letter C for the water pennies. And once we get to that, we're going to stop counting water pennies. We don't actually have to have each one out and in a tray.
Fly in there too.
Okay, so let's look for other kinds of animals and then we'll focus on abundance. Oh, here is a mayfly.
Yeah,
Here's a mayfly. It's got, sometimes you can see them because they'll have the 3 little tails. Oh, wait, I could be wrong here.
What was you looking
It didn't see 3 tails.
at? No, it's me. It's a flathead me.
Okay. There's another one. Oh,
Probably gonna get
it does have 3 tails. One of them is broken slightly. There is another animal. There's a different kind of mayfly, different species, but we're getting down to genus with these guys. So it's just still going to be 3 points for the river for all mayflies. If we find a stonefly, that's a different kind of animal, and then we'll give the river 3 more points for that. Anything, caddisfly, mayfly. Do we have any riffle beetles?
Yeah, I've got 2 already.
2 riffle beetles.
I had a bunch more. I just stopped counting.
So I have a right-handed snail, and I don't know if I'll find a left-handed snail, but the way they work is you point the pointy end up and you look at the opening. If it's on the right-hand side, then it's right-handed, and that means this guy has gills, and we get 3 points for the river. If you point the pointy end up and the opening's on the left side where the snail would come out, then it's left-handed and it has a lung, and the river only gets 1 point for those. But it's still important to have both if you can find them. We want 22 points for the river to give it the best grade. So let's review what we found today. We were seeing lots of water pennies, many, and so we gave that a C. It was above 100. C for mayfly. We found caddisfly, tons of those, another C, above 100. Riffle beetles, we found more than 10, but I didn't think we had more than 100, so we gave it a B. And gilled snails, the pointy ones up with the opening on the right, we had many of those, so we gave it a B. So there was at least more than 9, but less than probably 99. So that's 5 different taxa in group 1. Each of those gets 3 points for the rivers, so we have 15 points already. In group 2, these guys don't need as much oxygen. We had damselfly nymphs as a B, dragonfly, we found 1 dragonfly, so that got an A. Cranefly, we saw a bunch of those. They were kind of weird. Do you remember those? They were kind of, looked like a little pencil, and they were almost see-through, and they had like an end that was strange. So they change into those creatures that look like gigantic mosquitoes. They're about this long, but they're not mosquitoes, they're harmless. Crane flies, they're really cool. So there was more than 9 of those, so it's a B. Crayfish, we saw lots of crayfish, a B. We had a few clams, so we gave it an A. And sow bugs, they look like roly-polies, but they were, they live under the water. So we'll give that a B, because we noticed there was a lot of those. So that's 6 taxa, 2 points each, another 12 points for the river. And then in group 3, these are the ones that don't need much oxygen, and you would expect to find them here all the time. So there were some black fly larvae. We don't often see those here. It was nice. Jared has good eyes and was able to pick that out for us. We gave it an A. Aquatic worms, those bright little red thread-like things that we saw on the white shower curtain, that was a C. A lot of those. Midge larvae, we gave it a B. There were lots of midges, and we did see a number of leeches, more than 9. And remember, leeches aren't bad. They belong out here like all the other creatures. They're eaten by a lot of fish, so they're part of the habitat. And so we saw a B for those, so more than 9. 4 taxa, 4 more points, because 1 point each for those. So 15 plus 12 plus 4 gives us 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. 31 points. And if it's above 22, that means that we're giving the river an excellent quality rating today. And remember, these animals are in the water 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So they're constantly monitoring the conditions of the water. If we came here and we found hardly any animals, we would know something was wrong, and we could go upstream and test again and see if they're there, and we could continue going upstream until we found animals again, and that's where we would look for a pipe or another stream coming in, because we can trace sometimes pollution events back to their sources, so we can figure out what's wrong with the river and fix it so it stays healthy, so the animals and people living along the Stillwater can all enjoy it together. So thank you so much for helping us today. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed exploring the water with us, and we hope you get outside and find your own discoveries.